But then we go to our one of the more disturbing villains of part three, being
Oh
Alessi and
god.
his stand Sethin.
Sethin or
Well, I don't know.
Set?
The names keep changing in everything. That's the thing with JoJo. Like when it comes to both Crunchyroll subs or the official Viz Media subs or what the original subs are from the manga translation, names tend to change like crazy. I mean, like with Kenny G changed to Billie Jean for some reason. I'm kind of wondering, like that still doesn't change the fact that you just reference a different song altogether.
The Michael Jackson
Yeah, so
song.
I'm thinking you go from one to another.
Oh.
Well, anyways,
Alright, so
with
yeah.
Alessi, simultaneously occurring like during Joseph and Abdul's fight, you get this one guy that a lot of people accuse him of being a pedophile, but there's no real evidence to suggest that other than, he just beats up kids.
Yeah, I thought that he was a pedophile myself, just because of how creepy he was acting towards that one boy. Then now that I think about it, I think he just likes to pick on people who are like weaker than him, more specifically children.
Yeah. He kind of has like this, well, I guess superiority complex would be the right word, but at the same time, he's not exactly. He's kind of inferior in his own way because he can't take on anyone unless they're like smaller than him.
If there's like someone who's like bigger than him, can't take anyone on.
Yeah, because he's very cowardly in his aspect because he's the type of person that doesn't fight head on really. Nor
Yeah.
even when he has to get advantage, he probably how can I put this? Yeah, he's no wham. Let's put it this way.
Definitely
Yeah,
not.
like I don't know, something about him just became like his whole creepy vibe that he was giving. A lot of Part 4 villains would start carrying that same stick too. Although they would start heading to the more like sexual disturbing things.
Oh,
Unless he is
God.
more tame than let's say someone like Angelo from Part 4. Because that guy is like, he's really fucked up. Yeah, well, Alessi, the stand that if you step onto his stand shadow or your shadow steps on his stand, like you basically regress to a younger age, and we've seen like how far that stand can go.
Yeah, like a couple of seconds could be like a couple of years. Just depends on how long you stay under the
Yeah,
shadow.
and eventually regressing all the way back to a fetus. Yeah,
Ugh.
that's one of the more iconic, horrific moments in JoJo. The image of that alone was enough to send chills like down everyone's spine.
Oh god, that was so messed up. It really was.
Oh, Araki just loves to go like in that place because that's why like JoJo is always that horror tone always stays even when it's being like silly as fuck.
Yeah, he brings up a lot of horror references in the series. I mean, in that same two-parter, he also brought in a Shining reference.
Yeah, for some reason the anime couldn't animate that whatsoever. They had to change the whole quote from like "here's Alessi" to just to another "dedo dedo."
Oh god, click, click, click. I mean, it was creepy, but it would have been a lot cooler if he did go here's Alessi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, once again, Polnareff gets assaulted in the bathroom.
It's always bathrooms with Polnareff. I don't know
Just
why.
stay away from them,
I mean,
like when it comes to traveling.
No. Like with Polnareff, he needs a chaperone 24/7 because every time he wanders off on his own, he keeps getting attacked. I lost count on the 8th time he gets attacked all by himself. If I recall, I think this is like the 3rd time he gets attacked in the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
3rd, yeah, I'm pretty
Well, he
sure.
needs
3rd.
a babysitter.
Ironically, like Iggy can go off on his own and he'll be okay. And Polnareff does, and he gets attacked. He should be the one that's kept on a leash.
Once again, I don't know for sure if Araki noticed what he was writing because of those scenes, like Polnareff would always have more of a focus than Jotaro, to the point where people would think that Polnareff was the main character rather than
Yeah.
Jotaro. Because I said this before with the whole Joseph comparison, but actually, I will save the Jotaro conversation until we get to like Dio's portion because essentially the way he wrote Jotaro is basically a giant contradiction to his own style of writing compared to his other JoJo characters. But yeah, I'll save that for later. What else is there to say about Alessi that we haven't said?
Well, I thought Polnareff was going to be the one to defeat him, and he did come up with this like really smart plan, especially when he was like reverted to like a 3-year-old, I believe. But the two-parter did bring in one of the very awkward scene with him as a 7-year-old, and he's naked in this bathroom with this other woman. David's production gave her a name. It's Malena, and it's just her like bathing Polnareff, and it's just so awkward and kind of
Well,
weird.
it's awkward because we know that he's a full-grown man.
Yeah.
that and the Actually, you know what makes more, well, not really awkward, but more disgusting than anything is that you know when how can I describe this? When you're going through some tough shit, you let out some shit.
Ah. Oh god, the boobsy. Like, Okay, seriously, what is up with Araki and Poop? There's like plenty of this in this season. Actually, not this season, but in the previous season
Yeah,
as
there
well.
was with the whole Death 13 incident. Like, you know, like chewing sugar technique. I'm like, spoonful of poop.
Oh god, that was so nasty.
That and the whole, like, you know, Joseph in the toilet. Like, oh my god, this shit, this toilet. It's like...
And it pooples into the wind. God. Or a pig toilet. Don't forget
yeah,
pig
the
toilet.
pig toilet. Like, oh, they like to eat shit, and sometimes they love to lick your ass. I'm like
I actually looked it up. Their pig toilets actually did exist back in the day.
that's the thing, because Araki like does put his. I'm kind of wondering if a lot of these incidents are just his personal experiences, just when traveling. I don't know. Apparently, the toilet was just like something that kind of like bothered him more than anything in the journey.
I don't know. Like, I really don't know.
If this was Gintama, like, I swear that they would have commented a lot more on this. Yeah, because they got through some shit as well.
But going back with the Alessi, as I said before, I was surprised that it wasn't Polnareff that defeats him. It's Jotaro.
And not only was it Jotaro, but it was a kid Jotaro.
Kid Jotaro, which I did find kind of funny. But how the hell did he not recognize Kid Polnareff? I mean, like, same hairstyle, same clothes, even got the same goddamn earrings. Like, come on.
Well, here's the thing, like, in Stardust Crusaders, like, everyone intelligence just comes and goes.
Yeah, I kind of noticed.
You know, I guess...
I mean, like, Polnareff was the one that decided to get a freaking haircut before getting rid of the goddamn sword. But it did lead to this, like, really cool double team with Silver Chariot and Star Platinum.
Yeah, that's the thing. But the thing is, Alessi as a whole, once again, it's one of those characters that you remember him mostly because of his power, rather than the actual character itself. Because like, there's some stands that should belong to a more powerful, profound villain, and Alessi is definitely one that shouldn't have a stand like that.
Yeah. Actually, what I did find hilarious is that in the narration text, where they usually have, like, the narrator say this person and then retired, for some reason they have to add in the fact that he's 32 and single, just to rub it in.
Just to show how pathetic the villain is, and then it just happens to everyone. I don't know why they make him just make him crappy. And speaking of, like, crappy, this leads to, like, I don't remember, like, if they swapped the order or not, but didn't they? I can't remember. Did Hol Horse and Boingo next, or was that Darby next?
No, Darby.
Was it Darby? Yeah.
Darby the
okay,
gambler.
yeah, because they removed the shooting deal thing to that. Yeah. And again, flip-flopping between, like, well, we had a comedic one, now we're going back to serious. And this one is, you know, the one that's been hyped since back in the 90s with this OVA adaptation being a Dark Gambler.
Woo! Sorry.
Well, Darby deserves praise. Well, especially if you've seen the OVA, he's just so suave.
He's so slick and such a cheater. He actually comes off as pretty cool about
That's what makes him likable. Like, I don't care what anybody says, you can't go wrong with his southern accent in the OVA dub for that. It just suits him so well. Be like, I know where that building is, sir. Sir, do you care to make a wager? Like, which one would the cat take? The left one or the right? Now, come on, sir. You don't cheat. Don't harm me now.
Good. Now this is getting interesting. Now, sir, don't try to welch on me now. I want the soul you bet. You see, I'm a stand user who collects souls. The gambling makes them that much easier to extract. I strike when defeat makes a man vulnerable. The name is Darby. Daniel J. Darby. Oh, and by the way, this here is my cat.
He just comes off as, like, you know, I feel like that voice just works.
Yeah, Darby the Gambler was actually, like, one of my favorite stand users, but also, like, one of my favorite fights because it's a fight that didn't involve, like, hand-to-hand combat. It's just trying to outsmart your opponent. It's a battle of wits in a way.
You know what surprises me? I haven't encountered an anime that actually had a legit poker game. Because even Kaiji, which is actually about gambling, does not have a poker game. And I don't know whether the author's other works of the author of Kaiji has done like an actual poker game in his other series. But the point is that the poker game presented in JoJo is actually one of the best things ever. It's kind of strange because it departs from the usual fighting style and it sort of becomes a different show in itself with the whole gambling aspect. But yeah, once again, it adds more to Darby's cool factor and his role as a villain.
Yeah, with his stand Osiris, I mean, having the ability to, like, steal souls and turn them into poker chips, it's kind of scary in a way, but it kind of reminds me of, like, Shang Tsung's ability from Mortal Kombat, so I was expecting him to say, "Your soul is mine."
He would say more so than, "Your soul is mine, sir."
Yeah, I was kind of expecting that, but I think he's like the first person to actually technically kill one of the main characters. Actually, not just one,
Yeah, he
two.
did kill them in a way, because, you know, if you take your soul from the body, they're basically dead for even if it's just for a few minutes. He has a kill record.
Yeah.
He's definitely one of the top among people's favorites in terms of JoJo villains, and I think anime villains overall, because the sad part is he only has that one scene. It's just kind of sad that it just has like a one minimal moment in the entire JoJo thing. And once again, he seems like a type of character that could be a main villain for a type of story.
Yeah, but he, of course, had to only last for like 2 episodes.
Yeah, yeah. For whatever reason, in every version, no matter what language you hear, it always comes off as a really badass guy. Because in the original '90s OVA, he's voiced by Kenji Utsumi, who played Raoul, the villain of Fist of the North Star.
Hurry up, Mr. Joestar. 酒が蒸発するまで待つ気かね。
And strangely enough, after Kenji Utsumi's passing, the actor who voiced him was Banjo Ginga, who voiced another villain from Fist of the North Star, which was Souder. And interestingly, those two villains actually kind of have a thing against each other. It's kind of strange, or fascinating at the same time, how the role was just passed from one person to another person.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I guess he's the first character to be voiced by 2 different voice actors from Fist of North Star.
Yeah, because JoJo like has always some connection with Fist in one way or another, whether it's the character designer, the way the story is, or well, then again, there's been a lot of interesting voices in all of JoJo, even from the characters of Gintama, even from like we even got like the Japanese actor for Kid Muscle voicing Alessi. Going back to Darby, however, it was just like a really, really good episode. Like even in the original OVA, like each adaptation has their merits. There's just something about the '90s OVA that has a little more suspense. I think it's because the music wasn't as was more subtle.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, like I would listen to like the music used in the OVAs. It actually sounds like a way better because of like how it sounds.
Yeah, because
you can just like tell like Darby will like slowly start going insane. You can tell like by the music.
Yeah, because the thing is with while I do appreciate the Gambler remix for Jotaro's theme, oh, that's what I like to call it. I really like that version, but at the same time, whenever Jotaro's theme plays, you just know that he's just going to win from that point onward, and it kind of like takes away the suspense of it, especially it's during such a turning point during the match where you know you play the theme, you just kind of give it away. That's the thing with the Crusaders of soundtrack, that in comparison to the OVA episodes that it adapted, their music just comes off as a lot more loud and dynamic, while the OVAs comes down as more subdued and subtle, sometimes a bit even creepier. While the the 2015 anime kind of goes more in the kind of like the fast-paced action, which I noticed like very, very well in the Dio fight, in contrast to the original Jotaro vs. Dio fight. But anyways, I think we went enough about Darby.
Yeah, I guess we did. But I will say this: the censorship did bug the hell out of me with Jotaro's cigarette.
Because it's strange, because the first time it popped out during the Captain Tennille fight, like it looked cool. But here, it just looked like a smudge in the way.
I know. I mean, like Jotaro was supposed to be acting all cool when he was like talking with the cigarette in his mouth, and it kind of takes away the coolness factor when it's just a big black splotch on his face.
Yeah, it's distracting. That's actually one of the few things where older anime can get away with stuff like that. It's just something that you just can't replicate, because I'm pretty sure everyone here knows that JoJo's Bizarre Adventure was a really old manga from '87, and then Crusaders was made like in the 89, 90, like around that time period. But even back then, like Shonen Jump just had a lot more leeway with everything.
Before we like move on with Darby the Gambler, I just find it hilarious that he came close to finishing part 3, but he couldn't because he was so scared.
Well, no one wants to be, like, I'm not gonna put it. Well, when Dio shows off his muscles, you can't resist that.
Yeah. So after this series fight, we also get another comedy-filled fight. Hol Horse and Boingo.
A team up made in heaven.
Now, I'm not gonna lie, it was cool seeing Hol Horse again, and Boingo I was a bit iffy about, but I gotta be frank, I actually preferred Hol Horse working with Jake Al because those two made progress. Him and Boingo, unfortunately, didn't.
No.
But the two-parter was funny, I will admit.
Yeah, but once again, it goes to the shtick where, let's pick on Polnareff.
Oh, yeah.
Polnareff is like the whipping boy for everyone's jokes.
Oh, the poor French man. I know, he had to, like, have fingers stuck up his nose.
That'd be the strangest thing. You go to say, like, this journey, I went through so much stuff. Like, what did you do, Polnareff? I found the killer of my sister, but nothing compares to the humiliation I felt when someone shoved their fingers up my nose. I licked the toilet bowl, but shoving fingers up someone's nose? No, that's too much, man. Like,
Actually, the funny thing is, I think that led to Whole Horse's downfall. I mean, sticking the fingers up his nose made Polnareff sneeze a lot, and well, that technically saved Jotaro's life in a way. So why the hell was this even predicted? I
it's
have no
probably the
idea.
most Jotaro's ever reacted to anything. It's like, you okay, Polnareff? Then like, never mind, man. Like, I'm sorry, Jotaro. No, no, just stay there. Just leave me alone. Buck.
Yeah, what did you think of Whole Horse and Boingo working together?
Trying to think about this because well, my first experience with JoJo was through the OVA, so seeing like when I read the manga for part 3, Whole Horse just coming back again was just like a surprise. But even more odd was with Boingo. Well, for starters, I gotta call like the BS, which there is no way he was able to sneak him on a plane. There was no way he could have gone away with that. Even back then, where security was more lax with airports, they still would have gone an X-ray check or something.
Or maybe like the luggage is made out of sort of like material that X-rays
Oh,
can't
I
see
don't
through it
know.
or something.
Like even in JoJo, I kind of doubt that.
On the plus side, this two-parter did lead to like this really cool scene with Whole Horse meeting Dio at the beginning.
Yeah, there's the whole shooting Dio incident that well, interestingly, that was one of the most controversial scenes of all of JoJo because of the Dio reading the Qur'an in the original manga format. Yeah, because
Oh
of
yeah,
yeah,
about
because
that.
of that, they had to like halt releasing the OVAs and the manga for a bit.
No wait, no, I'm pretty sure it was because of the 2000 OVAs. I heard about this. It was the 2000 OVAs that actually showed the Quran, and well, a bunch of Islamists were really
Well,
pissed, and they
yeah,
had to
well,
like
that's the
halt.
thing, because even though the OVA is what got people's attention, the manga still had it, and they had to re-edit the page.
Oh
Yeah,
really?
because the same thing happens with Dio's fight with Kakyoin. He was like destroying these certain buildings, and had to re-edit the pages to basically these buildings were like the equivalents of churches, I think, but essentially they just turned into a radio tower in like an old manga format. So yeah, so the
Okay.
whole Quran incident is that if Araki didn't draw it in the first place, then we wouldn't have this shit. That's basically what I'm trying to say. But Whole Horse is a character that I just kind of find that you could do better, man. I mean, you got a bullet, that could go anywhere. You were basically the Rip Van Winkle of JoJo before Rip Van Winkle and Helsing started doing that.
Yeah, like I guess he was like too distracted reading Thoth to notice the bullets like coming back to him. I don't even understand why the bullets would go back to him in the first place.
Well, I don't know either, but well, basically he didn't follow the steps right. But once again, it leads to that it leads to someone's interpretation of how the fortune is going to be told. Like in the
Yeah.
first one, where during the whole orange incident, the fortune said that Jotaro's head would be split. But however, we saw Oingo who was transformed as Jotaro, and that's the reason why he failed. However, this fortune was probably even more BS because it was just ridiculous. When the bullets were gonna hit Jotaro's head, they weren't referring to the actual Jotaro. They were referring to the page itself.
Yeah, even I find that a bit far
Yeah, it was
fetched.
just like, but Boink was just saying that the Joe Stars have like such good luck. It's like it's called plot armor.
Well, honestly, as I said before, I preferred Whole Horse working with Jacob because he actually made progress.
Yeah, because
But
there really wasn't.
at least we got like a song out of those
Oh,
two.
yeah, that is true. Well, the thing is with Hol Horse, I think that's the reason why the OVA like took him out pretty early because there really wasn't a need for him to keep appearing. Yeah,
Oh
but
my
once
god.
again, he's one of those comedic characters that for whatever reason, comedic characters are like whenever they're with Polnareff, like shit happens. That's just how JoJo works, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Oh, there is actually one other thing. Boingo surprisingly had a change of heart.
Oh, but it didn't last forever though.
No, it didn't.
No, that's the thing where Iggy shows up and just destroys his life.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so next one is of course Guardian of Hell, Pet Shop, and the Stand Forest. This brought up the first fight, I guess since episode 24 5 since Iggy fought.
Since
Yeah.
Iggy first appeared. Ever since he
Yeah.
was like, I'm substituting for Kakyoin Oriaki. Like, the first time he really does anything to the story.
That's at least intentional.
You know what this episode should be called? It should be
What?
called Peta's Worst Nightmare. Because literally, they're
Oh
just.
my
I was
God.
actually wondering if they were gonna remove scenes entirely. Like when Pet Shop first appears, like he's one of the few villains that keeps his villainous demeanor from beginning to end. And he's a bird.
Damn bird is like freaking ruthless. It's a freaking killing machine. I mean, what he does to these like two big dogs is really messed up. I mean, decapitates them, pulls their bodies through the gates, and then pierces the heads through an icicle. Then he eats one of the freaking eyeballs out of the head
In front of the pet owner.
Oh God.
With no shits given. Yeah, because the entire scene, I actually thought they were gonna take it out. Because I know they did shade in like the decapitated area, but I honestly thought they were gonna remove it altogether. It was actually one of the more brutal things in JoJo, especially with PETA laws, the way it is nowadays. Even when it comes to fiction, like this is still. Let's just say if JoJo ever airs on TV, like in the, let's say in the United States or something, I'm pretty sure they're not gonna show that scene. Like I really doubt they put that anywhere else on television.
I get it's messed up, but it just shows like how messed up Pet Shop is. I mean, I honestly don't think it's really necessary to like leave it out.
No, I just feel that people wouldn't be like. I don't know. It depends if anyone wants to take any risk with that. Well, the reason I bring this up is because like beforehand, well, all of Part 3 in general, it's known for having this animal cruelty.
More specifically with dogs.
Yeah, dogs and some cats, like on some occasions. And then later parts, it would be rats of all things. Because there's this one scene where Enya kills a cat in the manga, like she literally like bashes his head in. Although in the anime, like the cat lives and nothing really bad happens to it. So because of that one moment, I just assumed they were gonna remove the whole thing entirely. Seeing how they in Death 13, they shouldn't like the kill dog's face. So I just really assumed that the whole thing was just gonna be like omitted altogether. Seeing how like those scenes were censored already, then this one, it just seemed weird that this did not get censored when something like Polnareff's kid nudity or Jotaro smoking, you know, that thing was like really, really violent and probably the thing that should have been more censored than anything else.
Yeah, sometimes I question the censorship in this series. I mean, it's okay to see a baby's or a kid's penis, but or shit, yes, but we have to censor all that violence and Jotaro smoking a cigarette because he's a minor, which I get that.
I don't know. I just like, can you give us like a rules of what gets censored and what doesn't? Like, just well, anyway, it's good. Going back on the Pet Shop deal is that yeah, this is like I said before, Peta's nightmare, because not only do dogs get killed, like another dog gets his leg torn off and then gushed up bloody, bites a bird's beak, fight underwater, you know, and all this shit.
Yeah, it's a brutal animal battle.
Yeah, it's one of those like animal fights that you bet on.
Yeah, but you actually mentioned this before. I mean, like with the whole like name it to the stands. I mean, Pet Shop stand is called Horus, and Horus is an ice stand. Yeah, Horus is like supposed to be named after what god of
the sun.
The sun, and also its image is a falcon or a hawk. Yet we see Horus's true form, and it just looks more like a six-legged pterodactyl robot thing.
It was more skeleton-like, so I think that might be the reason why it doesn't really resemble a falcon or whatever the Egyptian mythology was. It's stuff like this that I'm questioning Araki, whether like, did you know in advance what exactly it was, or you didn't research it at all, or you just knew what it was but just didn't care?
Well, I assume it's because he called the stand Horus because Pet Shop was like a hawk or a falcon. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, no, but the one stand user whose stand should be called Horus would be Magician's Red.
Actually, that'd be pretty cool, but no, we gotta stick with like the tarot card theme.
I don't know. It's just, I think that's possibly the problem where he was trying to make things like fits, but they didn't work out right. I don't know. I mean, wouldn't it make much of a difference?
I think like Araki just added this because he wanted like Iggy to have a fight. Because one of the problems I had with like Stardust Crusaders is that they introduced Iggy, and he doesn't really contribute much to the group until after his fight. And I get why, because he's a dog that's not very fond of humans. I get that. But I just after seeing the first time we get to see the full a stand made out of sand, I was just hoping that we would get to see him use it more often, but we didn't get that.
No, because Iggy's supposed to represent like a mascot character, but he doesn't even use him as a mascot that well.
No, just Iggy just does his own thing. but I really did like the fight between him and Pet Shop.
Although it did lead to like a false sense of death, though.
Yeah, it did. That whole flashback. Actually, I did like that whole flashback sequence. That was definitely like not.
Yeah, that's
manga.
the thing with flashbacks in anime. If a flashback is mentioned in the manga, there will always be more imagery in the anime. Like it's just like a rule.
And I think this is actually the first time we get to hear like Iggy's like inner thoughts. First time we actually hear Misato Fukuen actually talk as Iggy and not like bark as Iggy.
Rawr, rawr.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which, you know, I actually thought that we are gonna like hear more of Iggy's inner thoughts, but no. Every now and then it's just like one thought and then Zaful.
Yeah, I don't know why, but for some reason I always pictured Iggy with a kid voice. I have no idea why.
Well, he kind of did.
He did more in the anime because in the All-Star Battle he sounds more deeper, more of a grown adult. I guess I'm not sure that's the right word for it.
戦うのなんてごめんだ。俺は気ままにちょっと贅沢していい女と恋をして何のトラブルもねえ平和な一生を送りたいだけだ。
But for some reason, I guess just because he's an animal, I just picture like a kid voice with, for whatever reason.
That's understandable. But then again, we don't really know like how old Iggy is. Did it ever say how old he was? I don't know either. But with this fight actually did like not only give us this false sense of like he's going to die because we all know Araki's not very fond of dogs.
Gonna die, dog.
But he makes it out okay. Just oh god, stop. Well, he ends up okay. Yeah. The kid that he saved him.
But he still lost a leg, a paw though.
Yeah, but, which kind of leads me to this one thing. Okay, he said that the Speedwagon Foundation was going to give him like a paw, and obviously he was taken care of by the Speedwagon Foundation. So why didn't they give him an artificial paw? And when he returns, he still looks pretty bruised up. He was still exhausted. So like, were the doctors not very good or what?
I don't know whether it's like whether I should blame Araki for this or.
I don't know, it's just like, the fight ended, it was like sunsetting, and it was like the next day, it was like a couple of hours.
I see what you mean, because, yeah, that's actually something I never noticed, with all honesty. But, yeah, considering how Joseph's hand would be repaired, Iggy should have, actually, you know, that's the strangest thing now that I think about it, because Stardust Crusaders is known for, like, having, well, there's no official term for it, but I like to call it, magic healing, where, you know, people are just, like the wounds are just magically restored by the time the next fight happens. I noticed that even like some other series, like the big three of manliness for whatever reason also do it, like Vista North Star and Sakigake Otokojuku. When people suffer serious wounds, they just don't keep them. They just kind of vanish in the next fight.
Yeah, like, I do question the severity of the injuries throughout the season.
I mean, Jotaro got lit on fire, man. It's like, jeez.
Yeah. He got freaking lit on fire, and everyone's like saying, oh, well, he's buried underground, and that stopped the fire. Even if that fire was stopped, he should have suffered, like, some severe third degree or second degree burns.
Well, actually, the same thing happened to Polnareff after Abdul hit him. Polnareff, they were just saying, like, oh, his wounds recovered quickly. I'm like, what manly logic are we using, fellas? Like,
seriously?
Yeah, I mean, like my friend Falcon always says, if you're manly enough, you can do anything. Because it's proven in any one of well, we're following the logic of 80 shonen, where the manlier you are, you could overcome any obstacle. No matter how bullshit exactly it is.
Especially Jotaro. I mean, like, dude got freaking stabbed in, like, the stomach.
Yeah, so his hands were stabbed, too.
It was, like, the chest.
Like, he was stabbed everywhere.
Yeah, and he was okay. Hell, he broke, like, a couple bones on his body when fighting against you. He had a freaking steamroller thrown on him, and he's still able to, like, stand up and talk and all that.
He's following the footsteps of Kenshiro, you know, nothing bothers him. But the same thing, because it's strange, because ever since Kakyoin got hit, that's when wounds seem... Actually, no, like, wounds are inconsistent, because we just mentioned Jotaro, right? And we mentioned Iggy with his paw. And now we think about it, so why can't Kakyoin just, you know, be back, like, in day one?
Because, well, we need someone to leave, because Abdul came back.
Like, why can't we just have everyone together?
I don't know.
And just like, come on, man. It's like...
Yeah, I wanted that to happen. Like, have them all together. I mean, like, why not?
Injuries, you know, don't make shit all the sense. Because even with with Joseph, his hand would constantly get damaged, and it's only in the anime where they show some images of his hand being repaired or getting some in stock or something. I don't know. This part is either gonna be your favorite, or it's probably gonna be like one of the worst written parts on all of JoJo.
It's fun, at least.
That's the thing, because me myself, like, I don't like Crusaders has my favorite main cast of all of the JoJo parts. It's just that there's just so much BS in its transition into what Araki wanted JoJo to become. I guess that's just a problem, because he just have clear evidence that he thought of part 3 of JoJo differently, and then as the story kept going, it just became to his current style of writing, being really quirky and yet fun.
think he was just trying to do something different from parts 1 and 2. Plus, he's trying to introduce this whole new concept of stands.
Yeah, but even then, like, he wasn't sure where he was going with that.
Yeah. I mean, some of the rules were broken in the case of some of the stands. Right, so, I guess then we get to, like, yeah, when they finally made it to the mansion, we get the next fight, Darby the player.